So make sure you do the search and email assignment if you haven't done it. If you've done it, it will be in your grade book with a grade there. If you did it and there's not a grade there for you, email me and tell me that you did email it to me, because the other part is it's getting emailed to me, and there was one or two of y'all, a couple of y'all in here actually, that did it in the first week right off the bat, and that I wasn't ready to grade it yet. And so I stuck it in another folder there in the email, and I had to go back and find it then. So if you had done it and I don't have a grade out there for you, tell me and I'll go search in my email and find it there. But it only works if you have done it. If you haven't done it, telling me you have done it, it's not going to work. So I'm going to go look and find it. And I've got all of your emails. Do you follow on that one? So just be aware of that. Okay? But I don't see. This is a pretty basic install, but maybe they may have chosen not to put clipboard on here for some reason too. I have to look at my machine at home and see what's on there. But then clipboard may be on mine because it's an upgrade from 7, and there were some things that when you did an upgrade from 7 to 10 that 10 includes, but 10 doesn't include when it installs by itself. So I've got to be aware of that one too. But it is a clipboard on there, and that's always been mysterious to people.
It's enterprise. It's enterprise is weird.
And it could be this version. You're correct on that too. But I'm not sure what all's in enterprise, because there's home, professional, education, and enterprise. Home has some stuff in it that's not in professional. Basically some graphical type stuff. Professional's got some other stuff in it that's not in home. And so they're both that way. It used to be in the past, prior to Windows 10, home was missing some stuff. Professional had more stuff but included everything that was in home. And then enterprise included more stuff beyond that. In Windows 10, I know home and professional don't include some things that the other one does. So if you buy professional, you don't get everything that's in home, which is weird. Professional works on domains, so most businesses have to have professional. Home just works on peer-to-peer networks, so it works for home purposes for people, but won't work in businesses for most people. So when businesses go buy their computer from Walmart, because they can get it cheap from there, or some other computer stores, but they don't buy the higher end one with the professional, suddenly they discover the computer won't work on their network. And so I've had to install Windows 10 Professional on some business machines. And usually it was still cheaper for them still than getting the machine that they were trying to sell and that they didn't need a higher level machine. But education, Windows 10 Education, which is the one that's out there at DreamSpark/Imagine. It's Imagine now, it used to be DreamSpark. That's available to y'all for free. Actually includes everything that's in home and everything that's in professional, is what they claim. So that it's got all of the stuff there, so it's sort of like professional used to be. Enterprise, I'm not exactly sure on what all it has in it, of what they did on that one. But it's supposed to have some different licensing stuff on it, which makes sense on the licensing part. So be aware of that. All right, let's go into SimNet. Y'all got one chapter left to go of PowerPoint. Stuff is due by Friday night, because that's the last day of the semester. So any assignments you got, get them done by Friday. Final exam, I'll be there in SimNet for you. Should be there from Saturday through Tuesday, or is it already there? I'm not sure. I intended it not to be, but I don't know how they got SimNet exactly. But SimNet doesn't let some things get set up quite as well.
So you take it online, you don't have to come into class?
No.
Take it, okay.
What I finals?
Yeah, I'm talking about, yeah.
The final exam, you don't have to come to class.
Okay.
Okay?
So Wednesday is the last day we should
Tuesday.
come in for this class?
Oh, wait a minute. Wednesday this week is the last day regular of class, but next week is final exams. Okay? And your final is due by Tuesday.
But
Okay?
in this class, since we're not coming in, Wednesday is the last day? Or do we still come in next week?
Mm-mm. Because y'all are going to do the final online. Okay? Because I still let y'all do that one online.
So the final's gonna be put on there?
Actually, it looks like from this, y'all can actually go ahead and do the final exam now.
Wow.
Okay? Because it's got a start date from last December that I didn't change that. So your final should be sitting there where y'all can go ahead and do it this week if you want. Okay? Or if you had been real enthused, you could have done it back on the second day of the semester. Okay? But notice it is due on May the 2nd. Okay?
It's due on May 2nd.
Which is Tuesday. But the other stuff is all due Friday. Okay? Tuesday and Wednesday are final exam days, if I remember right. They're supposed to be. Monday didn't exist on this calendar. That they did the calendar and apparently didn't realize they were changing registration system here at the school, and still left the calendar as our old registration way we did, which was that next Monday normally in the past was our last registration day, and that's when new students particularly came in and registered. Now we've got the new ones all registering on the different dates with orientation, so we don't have that one big final registration day. So Tuesday and Wednesday are final days, with Monday pretty much non-existing. They should have backed up the stuff on it Monday and Tuesday, and then Friday morning by 10 o'clock I have to turn in your grades that Friday morning. So y'all having a deadline of this Friday of turning everything in, which is the last day of class according to the calendar and everything, is intentional there, because then I've got to get everything graded. Now this class agreed it auto grades everything for you, except for that search and email assignment. I have to grade that one. But in my other class, and it automatically moves your grades from SimNet to Blackboard. In my other classes, some of them are purely on Blackboard, and I got to grade everything, and I'm a little bit behind on grading right now, but not very much. A couple of classes I'm a week or so behind, about 2 weeks behind or something, because it's been a bunch of things have hit. So I got to get all of that done. And the 3 Cisco classes, I have to transfer their grades backwards and forwards. All of their lab grades I got to transfer from Blackboard to Cisco, and all of their test grades from Cisco to Blackboard. And that's a manual transfer. So I have to sit there and look in Blackboard and see that somebody made a certain grade on Lab 1, go over to Blackboard, look at Lab 1, that person type in their grade there, and back and forth. So it's not a very fast system at all, and then I have to look the other way and do the other way. And they have a number of grades in those classes. It does work nicely when I get through. Before I turn in their grades, I'll look at their grade in both places, and it should be the same grade within a half point. Okay? If it's not, somewhere I have made an error, and I got to go back through looking to find where did that put the grade wrong on. So it is a confirmation that it's been done right. In the installation and repair class, they've got 3 million assignments that they do in test out. I have to manually move. It's not 3 million, but I think it really is like 65 assignments so it feels like 3 million. I've got to copy all of those grades from test out to Blackboard, which I have done most of theirs at this point, but now they had the ability, just like y'all, to work on stuff coming down to the end and redo. If somebody redid an assignment, actually I probably won't catch that one real easily, but if they didn't do it on time, they were behind in there, and some of y'all can relate to that one, that when I transferred grades, they didn't have a grade at that point. Now I got to look back and see who doesn't have grades, look over in Blackboard and see, do they have a grade now? Because they may or may not. Some of them still haven't done anything, and I don't think will do anything. There's one or two I think have dropped out, but they haven't withdrawn from the class, so they're still, I have to keep carrying stuff on them. I'll have to look at all those, transfer all of that. So there's a good bit of work for me in that next week to getting all of that done, and then I got to type all those grades in. The other one is, and I think this applies to y'all. Y'all have work ethics in here. Y'all didn't I send y'all a work ethics form, and y'all had to do work ethics? Yeah, y'all had to do work. I've got to do the work ethics form this week for all of y'all plus 2 or 3 of my other classes and get that out to y'all. So there's a good bit of work here. The fact that we said Monday doesn't exist effectively was a work day for me. That you're sitting there going, well, he's got time in there to get all this done. There's a lot that's got to be done. And then this week's a full week. I got students, online students coming in to do some labs they have to do at the very end. And like today, I'm scheduled to be here at the school until 8 or 9 o'clock tonight.
On those work ethics, I missed one of them. It's too late for me to do it?
The discussions,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I closed the discussions, because the object of the discussion is y'all are supposed to be discussing with each other.
Remember I told you when I was trying to do it, there was nobody to discuss with, so at that time.
So those all got closed. Now that's not going to affect on your work ethics grade, because I'm looking at just how y'all do on stuff on that one. I think it does play into the grade in here, but yeah, because it counts as one of your labs or something in there, but if you've done all the other stuff, it's not going to count much of wherever it counts anyway. But I don't think I even count the discussion in here. On the suggestion from Rome, from the instructor there that set it all up, was discussions all counted as grades, but I don't think I've got them counting on grades in here, because I changed how it did the grading in here. Because they had on that and a couple of other things, I changed it around slightly. Because I didn't, let me look back. Here we go. I didn't have to do that, but it did. Oh well. So if I'll go back to the syllabus, I can probably tell you right off from there. Course information. So they don't have labels on these things like I would like to have either. I would like, in my classes that I set up, I got a slash syllabus saying right there, so you know the syllabus is there. Just trying to find some stuff in here. It's not always practice. That I don't have, the discussion isn't counting anything on you anyway. Because 10% was the training, which is just where y'all read through the stuff and did the stuff on there, where it gives you the hundreds for having read it. You really didn't have to do anything. Test is 35%, projects is 35%, and then the final exam will be 20%. So that's not going to make any difference on you.
So don't mess up on the final exam.
That's what it's saying.
But that's 20 more points that will add to your grade, up to 20 points on it. So depending on where you are, that's where it's going to jump your grade some here at the very end.
Well, what are the basic things that we need to study on our finals, for our finals.
It's going back through all of the different,
All the way back about,
I think, if I remember right, it's just doing the office stuff, having you do some office things on it. But just make sure you know the different parts of office that you've done, and y'all should be okay on that, because you did it.
It's got
Okay.
50 questions, but I don't know if that's good or bad.
Is it 50 questions? I'm not exactly sure what the questions are on it, because they set that one up. So that sounds like multiple choice questions and stuff. But with 50 questions, here's the nice part of having 50 questions. Each question's only 2 points. Y'all can miss questions and still have a decent score on it. If there was only 25 questions on it, every time you miss after you miss 2 questions, you've dropped a letter grade, okay? With 50 questions, you gotta miss 5 questions before you're dropping a letter grade, so y'all can miss some, so there's an advantage to having lots of questions, okay?
Is it time?
Nope.
Shouldn't be. Nothing else has been timed in here,
I
so,
get nervous about it.
okay? So,
Only one attempt though.
Yeah.
but it is one attempt on this one, okay? So, all right, questions on that? All right, let's go back to SimNet. Y'all got the last of PowerPoint,
chapter 3.
chapter 3 to do. Let's see what chapter 3 does. I'm not even sure where it's down things I'm going to be happy with. It should not be sitting here spinning loading. Let's refresh the screen and see if that makes any difference. Yeah, that made a difference. And as y'all know, I'm still not fully comfortable with finding things in here yet. And I wished I had, that they didn't give me a totally different way view of how you get to the stuff in here than they give y'all's, because y'all's actually looks better on it. It's not lessons, and that doesn't even show me what I really want there. Trying to remember where this is. And then it trying to put stuff in my way right there doesn't help any either way. Sim books. Let's just go to student. But y'all's view works a little bit better. Project 3, PowerPoint. Simple. Oh, yep. All right. Theme colors, background styles. We actually looked at those, but we didn't go into any custom ones on that the other day. And not sure why we're doing that in here. Very few of you are ever going to do that. That's a more advanced item for PowerPoint. The only thing that should be in here is basic stuff that the basic person's going to use. So, if you went to themes, let's kill the snipping tool because we don't need that anymore. You don't need to know about this screen up here wants to do some updates. won't let me do them anyway because I'm not an administrator. Creating custom theme colors and background styles. So you can format your background into different types. I think they take you into some other stuff on it to where you can do some other things with it. You can work with those off there, but they walk you through on it anyway. Applying animation. What they want for that one. So then animation. And the animations is just how's it change as it goes from screen to screen. And so I guess we gotta have some stuff on a couple of screens here before animation's gonna come into play. Yeah. So that we gotta have something to animate from one screen to another. So then you can tell it how you want it to. So when it goes from screen 1 to screen 2, why is it not giving me, it had that there for me. They were live, and then where'd they go to? They went dead. Oh, I'm going to be down in a box apparently. So I can choose how the stuff appears on that screen, and then if we run it, and who knows what that is. There we go. It looks like this one's going to do. Maybe it. So there, you saw that one do the split coming in. I don't know why I didn't want to do. Oh, I didn't have it from the first screen. So you got to be on the first screen to be able to do that. It really didn't. So you can choose a variety of animation styles, but to do that, you've got to be down here in the design boxes of how it works on it. So put float in on that. Then we'll do a run. And you see it floated in. Because we've got animations on it, it stops with blank screens before we do it to go to the other. So it shouldn't do that. You notice it does show us with animations about playing animations. I don't know why it's not. When we do the slideshow, it shouldn't be throwing us a blank screen and then do the animation. That's weird. Because when I click to the next slide, it should animate. All right, let's go back over here. Linking to an online video. That's going to be like you've done before. Over here on insert again, you had the stuff over here. You already worked with pictures and stuff. If you come over here, you got videos, and you got online video. And then it lets you go find where this video is out online, so you would give it the address on YouTube where the video is that you want to link in here. Is everybody following that? So you'll have to have gone to it on YouTube already, copy the link there, and then you would paste the link in here. So there you're using copy and paste again using the clipboard we just talked about. So we were talking about at the beginning, of course, it actually fits. You can also do this embed code thing, but I've never used that one. And then it tells you if you're signed into OneDrive or other sites that you can actually pull them off Facebook, etc. if we were logged into them. But since we're not, I don't know why that it automatically lets you go to use the YouTube approach. I really don't do much of that one. Display options. Oh, okay. Then they go into where you can adjust your slide sizes to what the slide shape is. That will make a difference on where you're showing it on. That there's the standard and the widescreen. So sometimes when you show stuff up on the screen that you want it in a widescreen setup versus standard or vice versa, and that they mentioned to change that one, that you'll go to the design tab, and actually I bump into this one on my church stuff regularly, that I'm not getting it correct on it because it's using a different one. It's using the other one than what the PC uses, because it does it using regular projector screens, and so my slides up there tend to have a black bar across the top and the bottom. So I could go to here and change slide size, and notice there that you can change, is it widescreen or standard, and then it adjusts it. And so notice that either it may adjust things on the sides on you. So it changed here, so then you put it also other screens, you may see black bars on the side, which I think is what's going to happen right here. And so you see your black bars on the side, which is what I think I have to do with mine to get it really right on the church screens, but I just don't really worry about it. It's just that, like up here, it's just the black bars. In that case, it's black bar across the top and bottom on some things, but it's inconsistent for me. We have watched our fabulous slideshow again, but that is on slide size where you can change that backwards and forwards to match. But it's going to affect on what you're going else to show on. Because some of your projector systems are going to be doing it different size than what your screen does, so you got it correct on your screen. So right now we've got it as standard, but if we changed it to widescreen, notice widescreen works fine on our PC here, where standard didn't work right on these screens. So, and that's where I would need to change that, but usually when I'm putting that together on Sunday morning, I'm really not wanting to spend a whole lot more time. I'm spending a bunch of time on it anyway. So now, rehearsal techniques, I've really shown you that anyway, because that is down there of just how do you go through and just show on it. So we can click and show the slideshow there, and we can actually put it in a reading view. Just didn't seem like it did anything for us. And that you can set it where you look at a bunch of slides on the screen, etc. So you can rehearse a number of ways as you're rehearsing on it. But that one button down there to run is a real useful one for you to check your stuff on it. Okay? And when you put automated timing on it, which they're going to do down at the bottom here, that's one of the last things I got on this assignment. Using projector equipment, I just told you about that one. Now, big thing on projector equipment is on your computers, that if We're usually using the projector equipment. It's using a second monitor onto the system. And so you've got to go in and change your settings on your computer to tell it that you want to extend the desktop, or usually on it, or you want to duplicate it, and you may do either one. So we can go to display settings. I think it's display settings. Yeah. If we had two monitors on here, but this is sees precisely as the same monitor, it's not splitting it out, it's not coming out as two things, it would have a monitor 1 and 2 here, and you could actually click this and know which monitor are we sitting on. It would put, if you click the 1, it puts a 1 on your screen, whichever is 1, it puts a, and if you click the 2, it puts a 2 on, so you can tell which is this screen 1, is this screen 2. Like a church, the screen down there in front of everybody, they're seeing the screen 2. My screen that I'm looking at, screen 1. In my case, because it's got 2 of those, and we can't really look at this here because we only got one screen, it would actually give you down here at the bottom in this whole area here, it would give you the capability to say, do you want to extend between the 2 screens or duplicate the 2 screens? And so you could tell, if you do duplicate, it says put the same thing on both screens, which you may well want to do sometimes doing the PowerPoint thing. In some other cases, you may want to do extend, and programs are written where they put part of it on one screen and part on the other. I've got 2 screens in my office. I'm doing extend on there, so some stuff's on one screen, some stuff's on the other, and like I put Outlook over on the left, and I'm putting my Chrome, all of that popping up on the right, so then I can look at both things at one time. The church one, I've got it so that it's on, 1 is my screen, 2 is their screen. The program we run there actually shows me what to do in the program, and then I can click along and it clicks from slide to slide. But what shows out there to the church, they don't see my program, all they see is the slides I'm telling it to put up there. And so they don't know exactly how I'm really doing it. They all know it's something to do with PowerPoint, but they don't know it's really a glorified PowerPoint, and that I get to choose multiple PowerPoint presentations. Early church service actually uses one PowerPoint because they don't want somebody sitting up there where I sit normally for some reason in the early service. And so they got a clicker downstairs, and they have to have one PowerPoint because they don't have the ability to jump PowerPoint to PowerPoint. So when I put their service together, I have to put it all in one long PowerPoint. But they can't recycle things in the process. And mine, I've got announcements that I put in there, as we'll see in a minute, that it automatically clicks along after 5 to 7 seconds or something. It changes slides automatically, gets to the end of them, and goes back to the beginning and starts again. The early service, because they're in one PowerPoint, they got to click them through that, but it does not start all over again, and then they go on to the first song. So, but that's what you can do in terms of here if you had multiple screens, and that you can do extend or duplicate. And if it's not doing right for you, right click, come to here, go to display settings, come to here, and if it's not working right, switch it to the other one. I've seen times when I'm going, it really ought to be extend, but extend's not working. I switched to duplicate, and I went, oh, it's doing what I wanted to do now. So sometimes you just gotta go with what it wants to do. All right. Annotation pins is just where we can go in and draw things onto here. I think they're on home. Oh, I'm in, not in editing view. Let's get back to normal. I don't use annotation pins, so that's another problem for me. If one of you knows where they are right off the bat, tell me. So like I say, some of the stuff in this chapter and actually in the other chapter, pen or highlighter using one of the methods. Pen in the navigation area. Or right click anywhere and select pointer options. Okay. Pen in the navigation area. Or it says come down here and right click. Obviously I didn't click the right place. Anywhere on the slide, open the shortcut menu and select pointer options. No, that won't work. Doesn't work very well. Start a slideshow and go to the slide. Oh, start a slideshow. Oh, we got to be showing the slideshow. That's correct, Tom. Because this is when you're showing the slideshow that you want to draw some stuff up here on the screen. You want to emphasize that they really should have paid attention to the X up there. So I can choose pointer options. Sorry about that. Choose pen. Now notice that it's a dot up there. Y'all can't see it very well from back there in the back, I know. But if I click and drag, notice what happened there. That's what annotation is. And that I can write whatever up here. So I can put my name.
It works a little better with the real pen.
Uh-huh. So, but y'all can read that.
Sort of.
It says class ended now, right? That's what y'all already did, right? So, and depending, some people are really good on using their mouse, drawing stuff with it, but if you had a little pen instead to work with as your pointer on it, you could do real nicely on that. But the nice part though is where you can circle or you could underline something, and so that works real nicely for that, for if you're standing here doing this presentation, that we can sit there and look at that. Now if I just click, I'm going to still have to I guess I'm going to have to right click. Oh, okay. I can either probably hit the keyboard, but clicking with the mouse isn't going to work on it. But I could go to the next slide there. And again, I've got the mouse as the annotating tool at this point. So either I'm going to get out of that. I should be able to just turn off pen and I'm back to normal. But notice my annotation still stays up there because you'll see the little red dot that I had put there. So what you had annotated still stays on there from that slide. Okay? But it's not staying out there, it's just that. And then it asks, do we want to keep all of those annotations? Nah, we're not going to keep them. But if you want to keep them, you can have them added into the slide itself to it. And then the last thing I think is timings, which I use that every week. Yep. So this one can be really useful to you, depending on what you do. If you ever have to, if you want to do a self-presenting show, that if you come over here to transitions, okay?
Say that again.
If you go to transitions, be on the slide you want to be on, and you'll have to do this for each slide, or you can actually apply it to all of them. You could have chosen both slides go to transitions and everything applies to every slide. So if you wanted them all to change at the same amount of time, you could just choose them all and then come to transitions and set your time on it. Or you can do them separately. I do them separately at church because some slides have only a few words on them. Some slides have a whole bunch of stuff, so I may give people 5 seconds to get short slides, but if there's a bunch of information on there, I may give them 10 or 15 seconds for that slide to stay up there. So you got to sit there and sort of time it yourself, and remember, however fast you're reading it there, people are going to read it slower than what you're reading it when it flashes up there. So when you're doing this, don't do it on, I just sat there and read, click to add file title and click to tell it that it's done with that one and that you got enough time on it. Give it some additional time on that. And you can actually sit here and rehearse these. I don't see the rehearse. So you can do it on a mouse click, which is the way we've been seeing all along here. Or you can tell it to do it after a certain amount of time. Okay? And so you can set that time on it. And that is in minutes, seconds, and hundredths of seconds. So what I've just set it for is 1 second. If I click it on up, I've set it for 5 seconds there. But notice I could have set it down to a hundredth of a second, which means they're going to click, 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 click on you. You're going to, if you got anyone with epilepsy sitting there watching it, you're going to have set off all of them with seizures. Okay?
So you could make an animation movie.
You could make an animation movie out of this,
100
yes.
frames per second.
Uh-huh. Yes. Okay? It's not what's intended there, but you could do that. So we've set them at 5 seconds here. I'm going to undo mouse click because I want it to do it automatically. So now I'm going to click down here on slideshow, and I'm not doing anything. Now somebody can walk by the room and go, what in the world has he got his hands up in front of the room for? But y'all see where it just played completely automatically for us. Okay? And that. So then that works nicely on that. And like I say, for announcements at church every Sunday, I'm using that one every Sunday. That. And if you add a slide, now if you got a show already together and you got timings all through it and you add a slide, one rule to remember is you got to go back into that slide and you got to set its time too, or it's sitting there on mouse click. That's from experience. Okay? Now I have sat there and set it all up, added a slide because there was one more thing this week than there was last week to put on announcements. Got to church, started the announcement loop, walked downstairs, talked to somebody that glanced up a time or two and realized I keep seeing the same slide. And what it is stopped on that slide because I didn't put a time on that slide and it's waiting for me to click on it. So you got to remember, if you add a slide in there, you got to put a time period on that slide. Okay? You can actually, I think you can actually use mouse click and the automation, and that way, but even if you don't have mouse click there, you can actually get it to jump on anyway. Yeah, because even with mouse, well, and I still haven't clicked anything, I just moved the mouse around. So, even if you got mouse click marked there, all you've said there is you could do it with mouse click also, so if you wanted it to change quicker, you could click the mouse and it would change quicker on you. But notice you can set, if you want this thing to really be slow, you could set it to where it's 99 minutes between slides. Okay? But for a normal presentation, 5 to 10 seconds is what they usually tell you. But it depends on what's up there when you're just, and usually you're doing this in an announcement type approach on it. Other place it gets used sometimes is where you see the video screens in the hall, or actually in this building, the only one I think we got is down there by the information desk. And some of the other campus buildings, you see screens around the school that are putting announcements up on there. They're using the same thing as we just talked about right here. They may not be using PowerPoint actually for it, but it's a glorified PowerPoint on it. When I set it up at Swainsboro Tech to put messages up on screens around the school, I was using just regular PowerPoint and doing exactly what we just did here, that that would sit there. And then the other part is that slideshow. Here we can rehearse our timings. We can do a record slideshow, and on that one, you can tell it to do it. And when you go to do that one, start recording from the beginning, and that we want it to pick up our time. So then we can sit here, and now when we click the mouse button, is the time it's going to record however it's been there. So I'm going to let this one sit for a few seconds here so that we got a longer time on it. And so I'm rehearsing on it, but notice up here at the top, it's actually giving me the amount of time on it. So this one's got 6 seconds on it, 7, 8, and because it's got that split approach on it. So now if I go back to transitions and click on this one, notice that the first slide I said would appear for 13.27 seconds. Second one would appear for 12.7 seconds. Okay, y'all see on that? So slideshow, you can actually do your rehearse timings on it.
What's the normal presentation time?
Somewhere, my experience usually is 7 to 10 seconds is what I usually use 7 seconds at church, and nobody when it had 5 seconds when somebody else did it and they did 5 seconds, I've had some people complain to me that it flashed off the screen before they had a chance to read it all. But it depends how much stuff are you putting on the screen, so you'll just have to judge on that one. But like I say, I usually put 7 to 10 seconds unless I've got a ton of stuff on that screen. If I've got all kinds of text across the screen, I may go to 15 seconds on it, that it says, for some scholarship you need to apply by May 1st with application in the office, etc. And it was a full screen of information there that was still 35-point type or 40-point type, but it filled up the whole screen. Then I'll bump it on up to usually about 15 seconds. So you just got to make a judgment call on it. But 7 seconds, even if it's just a few words on the slide that says 7 p.m. prayer study, I would stick that one up there for 7 seconds. Still, normally, I wouldn't make it less, where somebody can glance up and they still got time to read it when they see the slide flash. Because you know how as they flash by, you see it out of the corner of your eye that it's just flashed another slide. And so you glance up. If you do it 7 seconds, there's time enough when they glance up to read the slide still. If you did it for 5 seconds, it maybe they glance up and they read 7 p.m. but can't read prayer study.
Yeah, so I have that problem with when we do our Bible study, and he does it on the screen, and he's read it, but if you're taking notes, you don't have time to read it all and write it all before he's gone to another.
And then that's on the manual clicking too. You just got to be aware of, make sure you leave stuff up there long enough for people to get stuff off of it.
You can read all of it. You can pretty much write out all of it, because you know what it says. But if it goes and you just get the first half of it and you don't know what, but they do bring it back once, after they've done it. But they'll bring it back. But I've had that problem with that.
And I never saw this monitor one here before, that I didn't realize it's right here, that you get to choose which monitor when you do play. And I knew I'd saw that at church on our monitors there, but I didn't realize where it was. Now I see where it is. That you can tell it that when it plays, if it was 2 monitors, it would list them both here, and you could tell it to play on the one monitor where you're sitting there with this sitting on the other monitor, so you still got the full program sitting here, but the play part is playing on the other, but you still got regular PowerPoint showing to you on the other screen, which makes advancing a little differently for you too. I'm trying to remember. I guess in PowerPoint we really can't do it to tell it to automatically restart the show, but I think we could. You should be able to in here. Why is it not in here? Why am I not seeing it? Some reason I'm looking over. Anybody know where I'm looking over to tell it to just keep playing? 'Cause I know it's in PowerPoint in here.
To keep playing.
To just keep replaying the slideshow, that when it reaches the end to start all over again automatically. And I know you can do that. Because just like the monitors in the halls, that's the way they're set up, and they just all I used was plain old PowerPoint to do that. And I'm using at home an older version, so some of this stuff is sitting in a different spot on it.
Well, there's a box I found that has the option to loop continuously.
That's what I want. Where is that?
But I couldn't find it. I had to search it.
Have you found it yet?
I have no idea where it's at.
Okay. There is a button somewhere on here that says loop continuously. Okay.
It says setup slideshow. So it's under slideshow. It says setup slideshow.
Okay.
And under show options, it says loop.
Oh, it's under show options.
Right there. Up and then to the right too. One more. That one.
Oh, this one. Okay. There we go. Loop continuously until escape. That's the one I was looking for.
What is that?
Okay.
I can't see it there.
So it says loop continuously until escape, and what it'll do is it just keeps playing, and the way to stop the show is press the escape key and you come out. Okay? And y'all can know, I've already told you, like hall monitors, it works on church one where I'm running that announcement loop. I want it to keep on running until when the preacher gets up to start the service. Because when I get there 30 minutes before the service, I start it. I may get there 15 minutes before the service. So I don't know how long this thing's going to run for, or maybe an hour early. It just depends on how early I get up on Sunday morning. That I want it to play continuously until that time. The browse at kiosk is actually where you got the little computers set up in stores or in motels, particularly in motels, so you go in there and it's running stuff through and that you can watch. The browse at kiosk is one there that you can set that one, and it does not give if somebody doesn't have a keyboard to them to use because people are just watching it. So it removes the capability on it. And so you've got some other disable hardware graphics and acceleration. Depending on your computer or how fancy of graphics cards you've got in there, that can goof some things up, and that's what it's saying on that. Notice we can control the pen color here, and if you're using a laser pointer, it looks at that one differently. So you can use that one to do on it. So notice there's several things we can do there. And that you can set it to advance them manually or use timings, which actually goes back to that animation choice we made over there. So now we're going to override it. And that when it shows, you can tell it which slides to show in the actual presentation. You may not want it to show them all, but I really haven't hit into that. If I'm putting a PowerPoint together, I want to show everything I've got there. Okay? Does that help on y'all? So I've given y'all some more information here at the end than the book gives you, I'm quite confident. But I've given you some real life things, which they really probably don't either. So that if you were sitting there looking at where it said about doing the animation, the transitions and setting on the time on it and going, why would I set it to automatically time? Now you know why you would. And y'all are all seeing that. Whether you go to church or not, you see automatic shows, okay? And some of you at the church you go to, you may see shows, you may not. Some of you may be because I speak at smaller churches where a computer in the church, even to keep the books, is not something they've even thought of yet.
Well, we thought of it, but we ain't able to do it yet.
And then you can go to the larger church like I normally go to, and where I'm up there, that's my job to run the computer and show the slides up on the screen. Because I can remember 20 years ago working with a youth church thing that we did on Sunday nights down there, where we did put the words to the songs, actually used an overhead projector, and then I had to just keep changing which piece of plastic I put in there for the words up on there. Now we're doing it in a PowerPoint, and that's really where PowerPoints grew off of, was what people used to use on overhead projectors. So I've sat there and done it manually, and then that you got hymn books to sing out of, etc. Here in class that you've watched PowerPoint sometimes, but not really. Some instructors live off the PowerPoint, as y'all know. I try to give you more examples and stay away from PowerPoints, although with what I did right here, where I just used that little thing, is sort of like instructors using a PowerPoint as a reference point. It was just a reference point for me. I didn't just tell you whatever it is. Packaging a presentation to a CD or a folder, you can also package it out there. What that one will do is gives you the ability to give somebody your PowerPoint without them the ability to edit it. You've given them a copy of it, and it will automatically play for them, but they can't go in and change it around. So you'll see that professionally done sometimes. If I was doing a PowerPoint that went with the sermon, like I've had some preachers to give me to use for up there on it, if we went out to distribute their sermon with the PowerPoint, we'd want to package it so that it shows the slides just when they should show in the sermon, and that somebody couldn't change them around and do something odd with them. So that would be the object of doing that one. All right, any questions? Because we have used
Packaging can't be changed, but it can serve as a what?
But they can play the stuff, but they can't change it when it's been packaged. Okay? So, and if you were to buy something that's got a PowerPoint in it, that's not one that they're intending you to edit, they may well send you just a PowerPoint that just plays. Sometimes if any of you ever get a chance to go on some bigger trips or stuff, and I really can't afford to go on some of these things, they send me things on, but I'll get places, because I have gone some places, think he's got lots of money, but y'all are all sitting in here knowing I work for the state of Georgia and work for the technical college, and that's not realistic. And that, I'm sitting driving a 15-year-old car with 600,000 miles on it out there in the parking lot. Well, these others look at it and go, oh, he's going to France this summer, without realizing that I got a deal on that Kiwanis is paying a little over, somewhere around half the cost of the trip for me. So I had to jump on that one. And so now they think I've got lots of money to travel everywhere, so I am getting occasionally in the mail or even through email that they'll have a PowerPoint on a CD, or they'll attach it to the email and say, go watch this PowerPoint. And it's a packaged one where it's not something I can go in and change anything on, and it sits there and plays the slides automatically through for me, and I can't change them at all on it. So if Haley and I opened up our own travel agency, we couldn't grab a hold of somebody else's PowerPoint that they've sent out, go in on the first slide and change it to Haley and Dwight's travel agency instead of Travel Agency USA, and send this thing out looking like we were really doing something fancy now. We'd have to do our own stuff. So I guess we'll put that idea off. Okay? So does everybody follow on that? And that's the reason why you would want to do it as packaged. Is because if Haley and I did that, then we don't want John and Samuel using our work that we've done, that they need to do their own work when they're big, huge travel agency they're running over there. That they wouldn't hire us at, and we opened up our own anyway. Everybody follow on that approach on why you would use a packaged presentation? And a lot of times it actually is you just give people just a regular PowerPoint to work with. You know, just like the book gives me, with most of the books, they give me PowerPoints for each chapter, and they just give the PowerPoint, not a package one of it, where I can go in and change stuff around if I wanted. So instructors that do use those PowerPoints can modify them to fit what they want in class or whatever. And I do use those sometimes, but I'm just not a big PowerPoint person for doing presentations. And that just depends on the person. And that's nothing against somebody else that does use the PowerPoint as their reminder. I tend to, in other classes where I have books, I tend to sit there and use the book. And here, that was actually our book I put up on the screen that would be the first page in a book and tell me here's what we're covering in the chapter, and just a reminder to me. Because I don't teach exactly what's in the material. I add and subtract stuff. Because y'all have figured out, I told you some things that you're probably never going to use that they told you about. And then I added some things and said, you might use this. And that goes for all of my classes. Any questions? All right. That gets us through 3. You've got the assignment or assignments to finish. That if you're behind, you've got till Friday night to get caught up. Grade in the grade book should be correct out there. It is on the gamification, so it's a growing number, so you can tell. If you don't do anything else at this point, that's the grade you would get. Okay? Does everybody follow on that? So if it shows you a 70 average right now, then you know you got a C at least earned. That if you didn't do the final exam, you'd have a C in the class. If it shows you a 60, you got a D. If it shows you an 80, that you've done everything perfectly all semester, which I don't think anybody fits into that category, because from the beginning, I remember people missing points all the way to the beginning, so there should be nobody up there with that kind of score. But if it did, you'd go, I got a B, and that if I don't do the final, I've got a B. If I make a 50 on the final, I got an A. In which case, you wouldn't have to worry a whole lot about the final. So you can look at that and see where you're standing on it, and then after you do the final, then you can look and see where did you end up in. Okay? If it has missed transferring any grades or anything, or it's got the wrong thing somehow transferred, because y'all can look in SimNet obviously at grades also, let me know and we can fix it. And then if the email one does not show there in Blackboard and you did it, let me know. It's not going to show in SimNet because it's not something done through SimNet, it's just in Blackboard. Okay? So make sure you do that search in email if you haven't done it. If you're not sure if you've done it or not, 1, you can look in the grade book, or 2, write me and ask me. Okay? And I'll look in the grade book and tell you it's either done or not done. And I believe it's in one of the first columns. So I don't even think you have to start scrolling down the page looking at assignments. I think it's one of the first ones listed on the page for you. And you'll see your grade if you've done it. All right, then Wednesday, same as the last 2 Wednesdays. If you want to show up and work on the stuff here, you can, or if you want to stay home. So